D&D is not a narrative writing game. D&D is not a storytelling game. Look at the books that are written for D&D. You got the Player's Handbook. That tells you all about making a character, and that character is going to have abilities and spells that makes them really good at killing monsters. That's their primary talent, is killing monsters. The Monster Manual, the largest out of all the core rule books, just a bunch of monster stats and monster lore. It is all just enemies, it's bad guys. Then we get to the Dungeon Master's Guide, and the Dungeon Master's Guide is mostly just world building and how to make dungeons. That's what like the core of the Dungeon Master's Guide come down to. It tells you how to make a world and like a multiverse, and also how to make dungeons. If I came up to like a studio executive and I said, hey, I have a great story that I have written out, all right? I know who the characters are and what the characters can do. I know the villains that they're going to be facing off against, and I know where the story is going to take place. That script would never get approved for anything because that's just characters, that's just elements, that's not a full story. It would take someone really talented to turn D&D into a narrative, into a story, which they have done. Critical Role, Dimension 20. All of these people are very talented individuals who are able to turn D&D from what is basically a war game into a story. But if you look at the actual mechanics of the game, the writing, how the game is written, there are narrative elements, but it doesn't lay the foundations, the building blocks, the structure of a story, of a narrative. Luckily for us, humans have been making stories ever since we were humans, and so we have kind of boiled down storytelling into a structure, and all it'll take for us to take the structure of storytelling into the mechanics of D&D is just take the structure of story and then figure out a way to translate that into game mechanics, which I have done for you today. If you're trying to tell a narrative at your gaming table, if you want to tell a story, maybe you're doing a podcast or an actual play show, and you really want to focus on the story, you really want to focus on the narrative, then I submit this little milestone modification to you. This is going to be based off of the hero's journey. Now, the hero's journey was written by Joseph Campbell, and it was synthesized by Christopher Vogler, who you may know from a few projects that you might have seen. These are story writers who know what they're doing, and so we're going to take their structure, the way they structure stories, and we are going to convert that structure into game mechanics. The ordinary world and the character creation, they kind of go hand in hand. In the hero's journey, the ordinary world is the baseline. It's where your hero is coming from. It's their origins, and this is where you're going to be thinking about where your character comes from and how they've been molded by the world around them. This is just going to be your normal character creation. This can go for D&D, but this can also go for like any other system, like any other tabletop game. You can use this milestone system. What's really important when you're making your character is giving them a dilemma. A dilemma comes from a lack of something. Maybe your character's dilemma is that they can't pay rent, which means they are lacking money. Maybe your character's dilemma is that they feel lonely, which comes from a lack of love. It's really important you establish what your character lacks when you're making the character. This dilemma and this lack is going to be the reason why your character is going to go on their journey, on their adventure. Level 1, Call to Adventure. This is where your hero is given the opportunity to solve whatever dilemma you have written on their page. We're going back to the rent example. The dilemma is that they're going to get kicked out of their apartment because they can't pay rent. The lack is from a lack of money, a lack of currency, and now their character can make up for that lack. There's a call to adventure. Hey, we're going to do a heist, and we're going to get a bunch of money from this heist, and it's going to solve your dilemma. What is really important at level 1, in order for your character to level up, what is very important for them is to at first deny the call to adventure. Now, you may be thinking, hey, Nico Dicebrain, we're kind of playing a game right now. We can't really be denying the call to adventure. It's actually very important that the player character accepts the call to adventure because that's what I have prepared. Denying the call to adventure is how we know your character is a good person. When your hero is given the opportunity to abandon their life and abandon all their responsibilities to go on a sick-ass adventure, and they just accept the adventure, dropping everything that they have known in their life. We're not going to sympathize with your character, because if you yourself were given a call to adventure, if you were given a chance to make up for a lack that you have in your life, will you give up on your job and your family and everything you know to go off on this life-risking adventure? Bilbo Baggins did, and he's a weirdo. Think of Luke Skywalker denying Uncle Ben because he has responsibilities, or Spider-Man. Instead of becoming a superhero, he just kind of becomes a wrestler to get some money. Everyone denies the call to adventure in some way, and it's up to the game master to find a way to deny their denial. Back to the Luke Skywalker example, Luke Skywalker denies the call to adventure because, oh, I have a family, I have responsibilities. Well, guess what? The Empire just burned down all your families and responsibilities to the ground. I've now chased you up a tree. I've backed you into a corner. The only way to get out is by going on this adventure. When the hero has no choice but to go on the adventure, then we're going to sympathize with them a little bit more, because when the hero gets themselves into some tough shit later on in the adventure, we are going to sympathize with them. We're going to know you had no choice in this. This is something that you had to do. I think people sympathize with responsibility more with their whims. If a hero was doing something because they feel like they have to do it, we're going to sympathize with them more than a hero who's doing something because they want to do it. And if they have to do it and they want to do it, then that's just great. You level up from level 1 to level 2 if you first deny the call to adventure and then accept the call to adventure in some way. And if, as a DM, there's a lot of moments in this where as a DM you go, that's it, that's all you have to do to level up, you can include some obstacles and some challenges in front of the player to make it feel like the level up is a bit more earned. Right now, we're just trying to hit the narrative beats of leveling up. Level 2 is going to be meeting with the mentor. Meeting with the mentor is pretty important because the mentor is going to be giving the hero information about the adventure that they're going to be going on. Your hero that you're playing is not prepared for the adventure that they're going to be going on because they're just used to their ordinary world, and whatever adventure they're going on is far outside their ordinary world, which is what the mentor is for. The mentor is going to give them some information, maybe some special items, and that information, those special items, it's going to help navigate them throughout this weird new world that they're going to be going on. In order to level up, the character is going to have to find a mentor and be guided or navigated in some way by this mentor that they found. It's also where I like to include some optional stuff, like maybe the mentor could be an NPC, but the mentor could also be another player character who starts at a higher level but doesn't level up. I think that would be pretty cool. Maybe not everyone at the table is a main character. Maybe a player at the table decides to be a side character. Level 3, crossing the threshold. Now the mentor has instructed your character in some way. It's time for your character to commit to the adventure that they're going on. It is now time for the hero to cross what they know into the unknown. Typically, this is where you're going to have like a bridge or a doorway. In Star Wars, this is Luke Skywalker leaving Tatooine and going off into space. In order to level up, your hero must make the transition from the world that they know into the unknown world, into the world of adventure. Level 4, tests allies and enemies. This is going to be one of the longer like ruts that your character is going to be in. They're going to be staying at this level for a little bit because they are going to be tested on their knowledge. They're going to be tested on their abilities. They're going to make some friends. They're going to make some enemies. They're going to overcome obstacles. Think of it as a series of trials to test the heroism of your character. This is also where they learn new rules about this unknown world that their mentor didn't prepare them for. This is also where you can introduce the values that you want to instill in your character. If you want your character to show off how smart they are, give them tests of knowledge or tests of wit. If you want your character to show how strong and courageous they are, give them tests of strength, give them tests of courage. The hero can really flaunt your stuff here, or they could also be really challenged, and this is where they have to change something about themselves. They have to learn new things and modify the way they go about solutions. In order to level up, you are going to have to overcome obstacles, make some allies, and also make some enemies. Level 5, approaching the cave. This whole time, your character has been in the unknown world. They went from the known world to the unknown world, and they've just spent the past level overcoming obstacles in the known world. The cave is whatever is the most dangerous place in this unknown world, and the hero has to go into the cave in order to whatever your adventure is about. If the adventure is about saving Princess Leia, your characters are going to have to go into the Death Star. This is also where there's going to be guardians at the entrance of the cave trying to prevent the heroes from getting in, and there's going to be some more tests, more obstacles for the heroes to overcome in order to enter the cave. I'm saying the cave, it doesn't have to be a cave, it could be a dungeon, it could be a castle, it could be any location that the hero it's very dangerous and the hero is unfamiliar with. In order for your character to level up, they're going to have to overcome whatever obstacles are in front of the cave in order to enter. And now, your character's in the cave. It's time to get to level 6, the Ordeal. The Ordeal is where your character is gonna die. Yeah. The Ordeal is the point where your character is in the most dangerous place that they have faced. They are in the cave, and the Ordeal is the most dangerous part of the adventure that they're going to be facing up against. It is so dangerous, in fact, they are going to die trying to face it. Now, death doesn't have to be like your character is devoid of life. Death could be witnessing someone else's death, someone very important to them. They could witness die during the Ordeal. This could also be coming very close to death, but just hanging on by a thread, but they almost die and they're like out of commission. Maybe something very important to them is destroyed, like maybe this entire time they've been using like a flashlight to help guide them, and the flashlight breaks at this moment of the adventure. Or your character could like actually like die, be devoid of life. The point of your character dying during the Ordeal is so that they can be resurrected later on stronger than they were before. The point of the Ordeal is to teach that life is precious but not guaranteed. This is why the hero doesn't need to actually die, they just need to learn a lesson through failure during the Ordeal. The point of the Ordeal is for your hero to drown and to rise out of the water changed. So, which means in order to level up, your character has to fail. They have to fail violently. Everything that they were trying to build for has to crumble right in front of them. And then once your hero fails, that's when they level up, that's when they're resurrected. We go into level 7, Siezing the Sword. The hero has now overcome death, and it is time for them to receive what they have been looking for this whole journey. This could be money, this could be a wicked cool magic item, it could be life-saving medicine, or it could also be like Princess Leia. Maybe they also find wisdom or a brand new perspective on life, you know, lame shit like that. However, surviving death will not leave your hero unchanged. It is time to ask you, the player, what changed when your hero is resurrected. This is what the flaws and the lack at the beginning of character creation is for. Now that your character has died and been resurrected, changed, the flaws you included at the beginning are going to be changed, maybe improved upon. The greedy character becomes generous. The loner character learns the value of teamwork. The vengeful character becomes forgiving. This is to symbolize that the novice has become the veteran. That's you. You're the novice, and you're now the veteran. Congratulations. In order to level up, the hero must in some way demonstrate that they have changed for the better. Level 8, the road back. The heroes have gathered what they have learned or stolen or gained somehow, and they now form a new goal, a new plan, which is to get out of this cave or to finish the adventure somehow. They got what they came for, now they got to get out. Now the clock is ticking for the worst to happen. Your hero has to make up for losing during the Ordeal somehow, and this is their challenge to do so. This is where loose ends are tied up. Think of this adventure as the reverse as approaching the cave. This is where they're trying to get out of the cave. There's going to be obstacles that they're going to face trying to get out of the cave, but the obstacles are not going to be as challenging to the hero since they seized the sword and were resurrected, and they are stronger as they were before. This could be the heroes chasing down the villain that escaped during the Ordeal, or returning to finish what they started. In order to level up, the heroes must use whatever they learned or gained during their hero's journey. Level 9, Resurrection. This is the final exam. If the Ordeal was the midterms, then the Resurrection is the final exam. These are finals. This is the final test, the climax of your story. This is the big finale. This is to test your character to see if they have really, truly changed for the better. Resurrection is, of course, the climax. This is going to be your final showdown with the villain, or one last sacrifice from your hero, or both. It could be both. What it really comes down to is your hero is going to be met with two options. The first option is going to be whatever option your character would have chosen before they went on the hero's journey. And the second option is going to be whatever your hero would choose after they've been resurrected. And in order to level up, your character has to choose the second option. They have to prove that they're making decisions that their old self wouldn't, and that has changed them for the better. And also maybe stopping the bad guy, or returning with like the special cure, or whatever your hero was setting out to achieve. Which brings me to level 10, Return with the Elixir. This is where your journey comes to an end. Your character gained what they were looking for. They made up for whatever their character was lacking. Your hero has made it to safety, and the chapter closes on this journey that they were setting out to go on. Not only did your hero get what they wanted, but they also found what they needed. Now this takes your character from levels 1 to 10. In D&D, that's kind of a lot if we're talking about 5th edition D&D, so maybe what you do is you have them level up every other step of the hero's journey. So instead they go from level 1 to level 5. Maybe, I don't know, it depends on what system you're using. I mean, you can feel free to work this into whatever system you're using. You could skip levels, you can double up on levels. Point is, you have these stepping stones that the characters need to achieve in order to level up. And now we've converted the structures from storytelling into the mechanics of tabletop. I don't recommend this for any other table. Like if this is just a table full of people just sitting around trying to, you know, kill monsters and have fun, I wouldn't foist the hero's journey upon them. But if you're trying to tell a very narrative focused game, maybe it is an actual play show, or you're trying to do a D&D podcast, then I would recommend this so that you have a narrative baked into the mechanics of the game. So it's not on you to turn disconnected events into a narrative. Now the narrative is built into the mechanics of the game. Even if you don't use this system verbatim, I hope I inspired you just a little bit. I hope I made your game just 1% better than it was as before. If you like videos like this, you should subscribe, because we're making videos like this all the time, and they're always this level of quality, I promise, and I also apologize. If you want to support this channel, not just with your clicks, but also with your wallet, you can join my Patreon. It's about $3 a month, and I also run D&D for you if you would like me to. Plenty of time slots are open on the Patreon game if you want me to run D&D for you. If you don't want to join a Patreon, if you don't want to give $3 a month, I also have a merch store. We got stickers, we got shirts, we got hoodies, we got a bunch of great stuff that you can buy. I ship them personally. We print them here at my house. It's not just a weird drop shipping thing. I actually have the products with me in my room, and I will personally ship them to you. Again, I hope I made your games at least 1% better. I hope I improved them just by this little bit. And if you want to improve your games even more with my videos, here's another video that you can click on, because this video is pretty much over. I don't know if you could tell whenever I ask you to subscribe, the video is over. But here's a new video that you can watch, and I also say things in this video. And this video is also great. It's fantastic. I loved making this video. And I highly recommend it. And I don't know why you haven't clicked on it yet.